What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from Jamestown podcast edition. This is episode 56. This is the June 2021 episode, and we are sitting down this morning with TCC President Robb Roach, and I forgot your title, Javi. Latin American Operations Manager, Sales Manager?
I'm part-time, but
I haven't seen you in a while, so.
Yeah. I handle Latin American markets. FYI for everybody that doesn't know me.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, man.
How you guys doing?
Very good.
Doing good.
Friday full of meetings, office meetings, IT
busy
meetings.
Friday. Wow. Yeah, very busy. It's summertime too. We shouldn't be being this busy, but we are.
What was it, June 20th of summer, right? Officially summer?
Yeah, I think it was what was it, Father's Day? The beginning of summer.
Yep.
Officially.
Best time of the year, aside from how busy it is around Jamestown.
It's actually kind of cool, right now, which is kind of, I got a jacket on. I mean, it was cool today. I mean, it was more hot earlier in the month, but we're getting close to the end of June here, and it's cooled off, but I'm sure that's going to change pretty rapidly.
Yeah, good stretch of weather. We didn't have our first annual golf outing rained out, so that was a positive. Had some good weather last week for playing some golf here in Rhode Island.
Big threats of rain for that, but and then a heat wave going on over in Europe right now, so a lot going on weather-wise.
Yeah, I think the weather will be certainly a factor as we kind of talk about our first topic here, talking about supply chains and freight issues and kind of the ongoing issue that is supply chain management these days between raw material availability, product availability, and then actually moving the product, whether you're trying to get it across the world or a couple states over. It seems like it's been an ongoing freight issue globally. Continuing
saga for sure, and not getting any better. With the rampant failure of supply chain here in the U.S., there's been a massive shift to imported goods, to maintain, sustain, help with inventory situations, and that combined with a lack of availability in trucking, drayage, carriers, ISO carriers, liquid bulk, LTL, you name it, across the board. It's a very difficult situation, and now we're, threatening higher prices in gasoline and fuel surcharges and diesel fuel with rising oil prices. So, it's a continuing saga for sure.
Yeah, and that was one of my notes here. You'd think, people started placing imports in maybe April or May for, nowish kind of delivery. So you'd think in theory all this material would be flooding into the market. But with the freight things going on, it seems like we're seeing anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks just to get material pulled out of the port. So even though it's stateside, it's not doing a lot of people a lot of good until it can actually get there.
That gets very expensive too. I mean, you only have so many days in port, and then the charges start filing in. So something we're definitely concerned about and paying attention to.
Yeah. They do pile up quick.
Very quick.
Yeah, ports are getting congested, and we try to move stuff to different ports, and by the time it gets there, that port gets congested, so we try to move stuff in the south, but we don't seem to get it right.
Are you seeing the same thing in Latin America? I mean, are they having similar issues?
It's just delays. It's just the delays, longer lead times, and we're getting a lot of rollovers. Mm-hmm. So they give us an ETD, an ETA set day, and then when it's the time, it falls off.
Yeah.
They roll us to the vessel space. That's the main driver. I mean, we have stuff that's supposed to leave mid-May. It hasn't left yet.
So the problems are from the top to the bottom of the supply chain.
Yeah, everywhere. And in Latin America, you have one major port or two major ports. So like here you can go from New Orleans to Houston and truck it, or Savannah or Charleston and move around. But in Latin America, you have in Peru, you have Port of Callao, and that's it. There's no other major port that there's a stop. So
limited options.
So, and sometimes they avoid that stop. So it's tough.
And I think a big part of the whole import situation now is really just managing customers' expectations. I mean, letting people know that, we're almost expecting delays. We can quote it the best we can, but it's likely that something's going to fall off or get pushed back, or even when it arrives to the port, it's not like it arrives to the port and you're going to get it in a couple of days like it, once was.
Once it was. We had like a week time frame. We have a week window, but now it's just it's unknown, Yeah. The ETA just gives you a reference that it's there, but who knows when you get it out, You don't know.
Yeah, it's always been our standard to give the information, whether it's good news or bad news, and it's been a lot of bad news lately. But yeah, it's there's no guarantee right now that you're going to get anything, and especially not on time. That's for sure.
But I believe that the people are planning better. I mean, now we're talking September, October.
Yeah, well, they've been forced to to plan better, but shutdown used to be like, oh my God, unbelievable. I mean, shutdowns are happening, not necessarily by us, but shutdowns are happening across the board. We're hearing major products from our competitors are unavailable because they can't get supply of one thing or another, where force majeure is happening because they can't get raw material supplies due to logistics. So there has been some action taken by our government to look at these impacts and the severity of them, but I think it's still something we're going to have to deal with for quite some time.
Yeah, and whether it's an actual plant shutdown, or I think we've had a lot of customers getting creative and switching production schedules or lines to what they can make with what they can get versus trying to make what they had originally planned, kind of rolling with the punches with what raw materials they can get in. So people are certainly getting creative and managing the situation the best they can.
Yeah, and the costs are rising. I mean, I think I just saw that the highest increase in inflation for May since I think 2002. So something like 3.4% or something like that, and this will continue. We've seen it not just in our products, but like we have broken laptops. We can't get laptops very quickly. We need a new truck. Can't get a truck. It's 3-4 months to get a truck. So I mean,
is that what yours just took? About 4 months?
It took about 3-4 months, for it to finally come in. A lot of that had to do with production, but and supply, but also the cards,
the chips,
the microchips is a big deal. So it's not just chemicals; it's across the board. A lot of different supply chain issues and fires and weather events, and I think that's one of the things. That's something we're focused on now is weather, because we're certainly getting into the hurricane season, and we haven't really recovered from the last hurricane season or Uri, the winter storm. Certainly haven't recovered from that, and here we are in the thick of it again. We've already had one tropical storm made landfall at the panhandle of Florida and Alabama, and tremendous amounts of rain, and this is early. This is in mid-June.
Yeah, I was doing some R&D on this year, so the expectation is to have 17 named storms this year, where the average, quote unquote, is 12. And then we're expected to have 8 of those turn into hurricanes, where the average is 6. So it's supposed to be above normal in terms of activity. I guess it's not supposed to be as crazy as 2020 was. But then again, nobody expected last year to be last year either. So we'll see what happens. But I think the definite answer is there is going to be some hurricanes this year, and it's prudent to start planning your supply chains around that, now rather than September.
Yeah, and then you look at something like lumber. Lumber prices went, very short term went through the roof and then crashed. I mean, this can happen again. I mean, depending on the severity of these problems and the duration, it could have a impact on our overall economy, and I think that's why it's worthy to be for the federal governments and whatnot to be aware of what's going on and looking into it and trying to help it out. I mean, we've got such a shortage in the amount of drivers and available drivers and the time. I mean, there's got to be some action. I would say that there's definitely got to be some action to loosen the restrictions that are currently in place so we can keep the economy moving.
Yeah, the lumber thing I think is interesting because it sort of runs parallel to us in the wire and cable and the vinyl industry. Housing costs go up because lumber goes up, but if lumber comes down, maybe more people are going to be more excited to do projects and new constructions, which obviously will positively impact the wire and cable. So absolutely. I think it's interesting to see what that's going to look like over the next couple of months.
Yeah, I've done a construction project recently myself, and it was very scary to watch these costs really increase and the budget numbers go through the roof. But
pretty much the worst possible time to plan a renovation project. Not that you plan on that, but
well, so we saw it in chemicals. So we bought a lot of our raw materials in January and kind of beat it a little bit. But you still need things, odds and ends, and you're paying a fortune for it right now if you can get it. Doors you can't get. AZEC products, you can't, I mean, you name it, closed cell foam, MDI type products for foam, for insulation, very difficult right now.
Yep. So, a lot to think about. I think now is, as we kind of said in the last episode and this episode, and I'm sure it'll come up in the next episode too, is, now really is the time to be planning for August, September, October, because we don't know what that hurricane season is going to look like, coupled with the fact that logistics, I think, is expected to be an ongoing issue. Now is really the time to take a look at that and plan ahead.
Absolutely.
trade tariff / maybe a import export update from our Latin American operations manager, as I remembered his title. Obviously, still playing a big role with a lot of domestic production issues and logistics issues. We're seeing a heavier reliance on imports, exports, which obviously I know you handle a lot of. So what's the sort of outlook and update there?
Yeah, I mean, the big issue has been freight, but also looking at other regions. And the U.S. has become, for Latin America, a really great source. I mean, for Mexico, it's a natural, crossing rail cars and trucks to the border. But for Colombia, Brazil, it was more Europe or Asia dependent. Now with the freight costs over 10,000, 15,000, and the delays of 8-10 weeks, you get something out of the U.S. in 15 to 25 days. There you go, and the pricing is great, and the freight rate is not that bad.
Yep.
So people are looking at other regions, which is important, and the freight out of the U.S. hasn't been as bad like other regions of the world.
Yeah. And I think that's maybe something that these regions, Mexico and down, have an advantage over the U.S. because a lot of U.S. purchasing people aren't used to having to plan for 8-10 week lead times, where that's all they ever do is plan on lead times. So it's sort of a benefit in thinking that way.
Yeah, and then also we are purchasing a lot from our friends down south to the north. So it's a lot of trading. We're doing some of the other way around,
So the availability on ocean freight's been okay coming north versus coming out of like Europe or China. That's sort of been a bright spot.
Yes.
Also with the tariffs, I mean, you'd have to assume that, finished goods or whatever, as close as you can get to a finished good in Mexico or, Colombia or wherever, you would come into the U.S. because you can buy, Chinese goods without a 25% tariff. So we've heard quite a few people have, switched to supplying their Mexican entity or their Guatemalan entity or Chilean entity to make a product to come to the U.S. so they can, buy cheaper and avoid the tariffs at 25%.
And in Mexico especially, there are like these huge industrial parks with huge tax advantages for companies to do that. For Asian companies, for Indian companies to come and produce and hire local labor and export from there with huge tax advantages.
Yeah. And I think on the trade and tariff thing too, obviously we're now good, I guess 3-4 months into Biden's presidency, and it seems like there hasn't been too much hype or news around China, so it seems like the tariffs are here to stay for a while. We've seen, I think, no indications of those potentially going away at this point, unless I'm missing some news. But
I mean, there's certainly a tremendous amount of tension with China, despite which president is in place or what party is in power. There's obvious, there's some people have said a silent war going on, but it's there's concern. I mean, they're growing their military, they're growing aggressive. The South China Sea, there's Hong Kong, there's the the cyber attacks and whatnot. So we're operating in a new world, and you're starting to see reaction to new world issues. So we certainly just finished a cyber training, about cybersecurity. I mean, we saw the pipeline shut down. We saw Tyson food plants shut down. I mean, this is reality, and it's not some big organized crime. There's a lot of small time people trying to get money.
Couple laptops and a server.
That's it. And
they're
they're attacking companies like ours and much bigger and much more important companies than ours. And so China, Russia. We if you read about the history of cyber attacks, we did the first cyber attack. We attacked the Iranian nuclear facility and started this new world of war. So so everybody's to blame for it, but it's not going away anytime soon. So I think when it comes to China, they're going to hold the tariffs, and they're going to hold a very strong line with China until we can come to some sort of agreement on how we can cohabitate this small earth we live on.
Yep. Price updates and trends. I know we're kind of at the end of June here, so we're starting to think about July. I know coming into June, a lot of stuff was continuing to rise. I think we saw double-digit increases on a majority of our product categories. Seems like looking into July, be interesting to see what happens. I think raw materials are coming down maybe a little bit on certain things. Crude oil continues to jump up, but I think we're seeing a lot of pricing based on supply and demand fundamentals more so than raw materials at this point still.
Absolutely agree. I think supply and demand is the driver right now. Even to our producing partners, supply and demand is a driver. They're logistics issues, but also they're unable to get raw materials. They're unable to secure raw materials, unable to ship them in. So supply and demand is certainly driving pricing right now. But we are paying special attention to oil. Oil prices are well above $70 per barrel right now and rising. This will certainly have an impact across the board on the products that come from oil that go into all the things that make the products that we sell. So a similar pattern to the last economic downturn, which wasn't as severe as the COVID economic downturn, that we're seeing this very quick rise in oil prices. So we're predicting that to continue and to continue to have an impact on pricing.
Especially going to high driving season. I mean, the summer is the prime of the high driving season.
Not only that, Javi, but it's euphoric right now. We're coming out of a pandemic, and people have pent up demands for vacations, restaurants, etc. So people are driving even more, flying even more. I mean, flying, that rebounded so quickly. Matter of fact, we could have a whole podcast on how the change in the last couple months has been so impactful. I mean, it's just, we could probably be here without masks right now. We have a few people that don't have vaccinations in the company. That's why we're still maintaining masks. But, you go into restaurants, you go into supermarkets, you go into church. I've been to funerals this week with hundreds of people. I went to graduations with 1,000 people, nobody wearing masks. It's just unbelievable, that switch. And the euphoria associated with that is just amazing too, because it's just, wow, we made it, we survived, So the demand for fuels for travel and for cars and service industry is unbelievable. It's just going to get even greater in the next couple of months.
I think luckily, or maybe unluckily for us, we live in a very nice place, especially in the summertime, so you get a lot of people coming down. So I think we've seen it. I don't know if you've noticed, like going home, it seems like every single day this week, trying to get off 138, there's been 30 cars. I mean, you guys live up north too. I'm sure you've seen it too. I mean, there's a line of like 40 cars trying to get off the highway. I mean, it's busy. People are here. People are excited.
People are here people are having fun.
Yeah.
Back to the way it used to be.
Yeah.
And, the same thing I'm hearing about New York City. There was very good rent opportunity. Not anymore,
Yep.
There's still some euphoric buying and housing. The housing market is still very expensive, very high in demand. There's no available properties, so people are buying. So I think this is going to continue, and I think it's going to, continue to have strong demand, despite the inflation, despite the trucking and logistics woes. I think we're going to still see the robust demand as this euphoria continues.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that, our outlook on pricing, I guess, as a whole for the commodities that we look at is, flat to maybe a little bit higher, just, again, based on supply and demand fundamentals and, maybe a little bit based on raw materials keeping moving up. But, I think we see no end in the near sight, at least, for some price support.
I think it's really dangerous to be complacent right now and think that whatever it is that you're depending on is going to get better or not get worse. I think that's very dangerous.
And we're finding that fine line where companies maybe, I guess it got to a point where pricing was going up, but then eventually it reaches a point where they either can't buy it anymore or have to buy less of it. So it's important, I think, to understand people's businesses too and know what that line is, because it'll naturally get to a point where their customer won't buy the product, whatever the case might be. So I think we've seen that in a couple situations, but things are certainly going to stay that way.
Absolutely.
Featured products, new products. Seems like it's more so what you got versus regular featured products, but I know we have a couple things to talk about that we're in a good inventory situation on and looking to move.
For sure, we have the IMP. We have totes, ISO tanks. We have phthalic anhydride. We have a few containers on the way coming in on big bags. We have isophthalic acid. We have DOTP on the way as well. What else? What else do we have? Am I missing something?
I mean, I think phthalic has been sort of a focus for us lately. Phthalic anhydride flake with some maintenance outages and some other outages in other regions and whatnot. So that's become very tight. Also, INEOS declared a force majeure for purified isophthalic acid. Right. So good to note that we have that product in stock and coming. Exxon's had certainly their issues with manufacturing DINP. Expected to have those problems, not just DINP, but a full range of phthalate-based plasticizers go through August into September and beyond. Also hearing some availability of C4, lack of C4 in Europe, so that's having an impact. We're still coming out of Eastman and BASF, who had to go on force majeure for Uri, so their production of 2EH alcohol and the DOTP and other plasticizers has been impacted. So plasticizers as a whole have been severely impacted, and we've still got a very strong and robust line of plasticizers, but they are difficult. And I'd say get your orders in soon if you need product for the next few months. But we could talk about phthalic, we could talk about isophthalic, dicyandiamide, urea, things like that. I mean, there's products that we have that are regularly available, but they're certainly getting impacted on price with the logistics. I mean, you talk about a freight rate, average freight rate, say from Midwest up to the Northeast here used to be $3,000-$4,000. Now you're talking $10,000-$12,000. This is adding 20-30 cents a pound to just about any product. So
prepay and add. That's the motto of 2021.
I know.
But yeah, like you said, we've always had a robust, especially line of plasticizers, and continue to make that even more robust with new products and new packaging types and everything like that. So we're excited about it.
Got some exciting new products in the pipeline, and with our producing partners, and a lot of good stuff.
And a great forum to start talking about all these new products. It's exciting to see, obviously, trade shows starting to come back. I know we're starting to do a lot of planning, and we got the first one coming up here next month. Our good friend Javier over here,
that'll be my first conference in a while.
Yeah.
My first time at the Southwestern Fertilizer conference, so I'm very excited to be there.
There's nowhere like San Antonio in July.
I know it's not where you want to be, but
I heard it's beautiful there that time of year.
I heard the same thing, but
yeah, the Southwestern Fertilizer Conference. I know you guys are booking meetings. AJ, Corey, and yourself.
Yeah,
it sounds like a good lineup already. But
yeah, it's filling up quick. So
there's always time to slot some meetings, some drinks, some dinners. So feel free to reach out to those guys or reach out to your TCC rep if you'll be down there. Always a good show, and seems like this year will be, no different. The Chemicals America show coming up in Charleston, South Carolina in September. We heard that they have 3 hotel room blocks, and all hotel room blocks are sold out already. So we're expecting that one to be a good one.
Wow.
One of our favorites on an annual basis. Exciting. That's the first one to come back as a booth. We'll have a contingent of TCC people as well as our the logistics company down there as well for all your freight needs. So excited for that one. We will be doing the Elastomer Conference, also known as the Rubber Conference, in October. One that was canceled last year that we moved into this year. AFPM coming up in October. We're starting to put some plans together for that. We'll have our normal golf outing, cocktail party, full contingent of meetings and everything like that at the AFPM. So we'll start sending out some info on that. But if you plan to be there, obviously reach out to your TCC sales rep and start talking about that one. The other two,
we will be there in force.
Of course.
There's a lot of people that are maybe not going. We're going to be there. I mean, it's time for us to get together to see our friends and business partners, and we will be there. So we hope to see you at AFPM for sure.
I already be testing the waters, like reaching out to my international contacts.
I think you have, or
yeah, and most of them are said that they will.
Good. I think it's important.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
I think as long as people can get here, depending what the travel
only
restrictions are.
Only a few people say like too soon, but most of them, it's like they're planning on it.
Good.
I was on the phone yesterday with Germany, and they're really being aggressively vaccinated there now. So, all the prior protocols of vaccinating frontline workers, all that's now by the wayside, and a full 50% are at least one shot vaccinated. So things are progressing,
Yeah.
you know, so which is good.
Yep. Two of the other big four, looks like they're virtual this year. The EPCA and the APLA will be on a virtual basis, but I'm sure we'll participate in some capacity, setting up virtual meetings at those times. And then the Plastics Compounders Conference down in Savannah, Georgia in December, one of the ones that was rescheduled, I think, from July. So we'll be down at that one as well. And then obviously a slate of shows starting to come up in 2022. I think we can get to those at some point. But nice to see trade shows coming back. Nice to be talking about setting up meetings and dinners. And I'm excited to get back on the road. Wrapping things up. Any other news?
I think you got some big news.
You got some
Ben.
big news.
I guess so. I guess so.
What happened? What happened last week? Tell us.
In Aruba.
Proud to say we're engaged. Myself and my girlfriend Abby are engaged down in Aruba.
Finally.
Thank you. Yes, finally.
Finally.
I've worked here for about 4.5 years. I've gotten busted for about 4 years and 4 months. So, no, we're excited. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. And more details to come soon, I guess.
That's excellent news. And Alex Rill in environmental health and safety. She's got her MBA.
Yep.
So that's exciting.
Yep.
What else has been going on?
You got a new puppy?
Oh, I got a new puppy.
New puppy? Everyone likes puppies.
Cute puppy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've been back, I guess, for more than a month now, right?
Yeah,
6
we've been
weeks,
together, and
something like
starting, I was watching Squawk Box this morning, and more CEOs are saying, you know, it's time to get back to work, to get everybody together. Something we've been saying all along. It's very important for our culture, for, you know, for our company, for the progression of our company, to have everybody together. And it seems to be a theme that's now proliferating. You know,
you miss out a lot of information, like the day to day. Like if you're not in the office, you miss a lot of what goes around.
Absolutely. You know,
I'm not saying gossip. I mean work stuff.
I hate to sound pessimistic, but the people who really like the at-home working, they had alternative reasons. You know, I mean, it's they didn't really.
I like the routine, waking up, the whole night, like the commute, grabbing my Starbucks.
Yeah.
The whole nine, you know.
Listen to the radio.
My Howard Stern show.
On the ride in.
But even like it's a big trend in the chemical industry to have people working from home. You know, if you work for a European-based company and you don't have an office here, you work from home. And it's not the same. Like I like being in an office.
There's a lot of pressures of working at home.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have children, if you have pets, if you have a wife or a significant other, I mean, there's always something. The dishes are bothering you. You got to get those done that are in the sink. There's a lot of distraction there. So, we managed and we got through it, but now
we know we can be mobile.
Yeah, well, that's one thing. I mean, there's been some benefits for our company that have come out of this. We know we can be mobile. We know we can, in the event of an emergency, we can all go home. We also went completely paperless. We are 100% paperless, despite this, Benny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We almost want to get rid of the printer, but no, we went 100% paperless. We knew we could operate well. We actually grew through the pandemic. So, and that's, big kudos to the people that work at TCC. We've got some amazing people here.
We grew, we hired people.
Yep.
Where other companies were letting people go.
Yeah.
We were hiring people. So.
Hey, you still see that, Reed Exxon's going to slash
10%. Yeah.
People drive business. I'm sorry. People do drive business. Machines don't drive business. People do. Innovation comes from humans, not machines. So,
technology makes your lives easier. My phone and my iPad makes my life easier, but the iPad can't sell chemicals.
No. I mean, we're lucky to be in this industry that we're still appreciated in our roles, in our positions. But I think that's going to be something that maybe we talk about more in future views is the sales and marketing has been decapitated in our industry. I mean, they've taken the head right off of it. I mean, they've eliminated people. I've talked about it quite a bit in the past. It used to be 10 people for the world. Then it was, 2 people for the world. Now it's 1 person for the world. Maybe post-COVID it might be 0. I mean, it's really a shame to hear about these companies that are doing all purchase orders online. No salesperson. You got to have an input. It's so sad. You know what I mean? And it's all for cost savings. That's all it really is. And
does it really save you costs? Like in the long run? Big picture.
Good question, huh?
Does it really?
I don't think so. See it. I don't see it.
it.
Yeah, I mean, because if you have X amount of tons in a plant, the price goes up and down. You still got to sell all those tons. So I don't know. You know, does it really in the end save? I don't know. If
I don't
anything,
know.
it wrecks your reputation. Certainly does. I mean, the people that I know that have to deal with these companies that force you to procure only online, they're not happy about it. They're going to go wherever they can, whenever they can, to buy it elsewhere. And there's almost only so much monopolization or forcing people to buy from you. Where there will be alternatives.
Where's the loyalty? You know.
Zero. I mean, that's the and that's another thing I could go on and on about is
Well, we have time.
The loyalties are the markets ebb and flow. Obviously, now it's a seller's market. It turns into a buyer's market. The amount of abuse that we withstood when it was a buyer's market pre-COVID was horrible. We had a company, big customer of ours. They did a bid for all of our business and everybody else's business. Well, we finished that bid and we actually gained business. They rebid it out again because the dynamics changed. Oil went down again. They did 2 bids in a year for the business that we had been doing. Now, when it flip-flops and it goes to a seller's market, they're going to be slaughtered. They say you want to let the pig get fat. Don't let the pig get slaughtered. And they got slaughtered. I mean, it's so we have to be cognizant of that. We're very loyal to our long-term customers. We're going to do the best that we can to get them the best price we can and the best service we can. That's something that is part of the culture of this company, and we want to try and eliminate that diversion between a buyer's and a seller's market, and that and the abuse that goes along with it. So we're doing our best to be as fair as possible during this
Keeping
time.
the relationship base,
People make a difference, to your point, Javi. People make a big difference.
And that's something that your dad imposed
Absolutely.
early on. Like that's something like your dad.
I definitely say give him 100% of credit for that. I mean,
that's why I mentioned it.
it was always about the relationship, not a computer screen. It was about the relationship and taking care of each other. So it goes back to being a sustainable company.
Yeah, I just remember when I started, I forget if it was one of you guys or someone else, but they said, people just do business with who they like doing business with, who you like talking on the phone with, who you like emailing with. There's probably 10 companies you could buy commodity chemicals from, but who do you like dealing with, who treats you well, who's got good customer service? That's a lot of what it comes down to.
I would say that my first sale wasn't because I had the best price or the best product or whatever. It was because the person liked me and I liked them.
Well, that's why Javier has all his customers. I mean,
Absolutely. Such a likable guy.
The Javi show.
But no, you're right. That's what it's all about.
It's what it's all about. I mean, another thing I could go off about is there's a big discussion about sustainability. We live a sustainable business here. We do, because we're fair. We're fair across the board, and we have very much a consciousness about the environment and all of this, but sustainability goes so far beyond that. It's people get over focused on the sustainability aspect of not hurting the environment and the environment around you, but it's so much beyond that. Sustainability is about having a valuable business, profitable to some extent, but something that'll be long-term and dependable, for your customers and your producing partners. And I think that, going back to what Javi said, that's what my father started this business upon, his values, and those values are what has just breathed sustainability into every level of our business. So,
and that's why something like our AFPM cocktail party makes sense. Like, would it make sense to normally spend 5 figures on a cocktail party? No, probably not. You see all these people, you have meetings. There's almost zero business just the cocktail party, but you look around, everyone's having a good time. It's all of our friends in the industry. Like, remember Zach came to the AFPM last time and filmed, and you were kind of talking about it. Like, it looks like everyone just having a good time, having fun. It's people you enjoyed doing business with and talking
the food
to.
Was bomb.
The food's killer. The food
was killer. The food was killer.
But yeah,
So if you haven't been to our AFPM cocktail party, it's coming up. Send me an email. We'll get you on the list. It's a good little promo here for it.
That and the Paisano shrimp is a reason to go to San Antonio. Oh my God,
we need a sponsorship by them. For
we
the podcast.
Send us a gift card or something.
But yeah,
I think we had dinner together 3 of the 4 nights at AFPM last time, and all 3 times we had.
Is that my fault, or was that partly your fault too? I mean,
it's your fault for introducing it to me, but we're equally responsible for ordering it every time we go out to dinner.
Well, we better get a reservation now before they pile on a reservation. But
can't wait.
But no, back to your point again, this is going to be an odd year for AFPM. It's out of sequence. It's are there people going to be there? We don't care. We don't care. We want people to get together. If you're there, please come to our cocktail party. Whether you're a customer, a producing partner, or a competitor, come along, have a good time, get to know us, and we're all in this together. And
I will behave. I
I doubt that.
We're relying on the opposite for the success of the party. So. No, but I think that was really good. Long story short, plan your supply chains into the fall.
Yeah.
Coming to our AFPM cocktail party. Let us know if we can talk about phthalic, we can talk about plasticizers, we can talk about any other products. Send us an email, contact us through the website, send Javier a WhatsApp, whatever works for you. Thank you guys for your time this morning. I think it was a good episode.
Thank you, Ben.
And we're going to catch you here in the next episode.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.